boys and girls. I thought I'd do something slightly different with the normal upload. Obviously, as you can see, there's road footage. I'm in the corner, drinking and driving. You shouldn't make fun of that. No, I shouldn't. But anyway, I did. Now, I'm going to start this with... There's been a bit of a tragedy. Bit of a family tragedy. The mother-in-law. I don't quite know how to say this, but she's bought a Nissan Leaf. No, she's decided to go electric because she likes the look of the Leaf and she likes the idea of it. It's perfectly fine. But she's bought the Leaf. She had a perfectly fine Micra. She used to love that. She loved that little car. She'd only had it a couple of years. Nipping around town and everything like that. Good economy, quite cheap. And she's gone with a Leaf. But to each their own, I suppose. To each their own. I mean, supposedly I think it's 150 mile range or something like that. I think she said something like that in the conversation that we've all been having, because it's a WhatsApp family chat thing. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, well, this is a pre-plate X demonstrator with a couple of thousand miles on it. It's 22,000, I think, something in that region. And I was sitting there thinking, so it's got 150 mile range. Realistically, these are her words, not mine, probably about 120. And I was sitting there doing some calculations, thinking I do about 100 miles a day. My car, including interest, on a 1.6 diesel that does 64 miles a gallon, including the interest, is 17 and a bit thousand. So just over £4,000 cheaper, and I get just over 600 miles, between 600 and 700 miles a tank. So I fill up once a week. I'd have to be charging at least every day until the battery started to go the same way all batteries do when you've charged them too many times. Where I work, there are no charging points. And of course you bring these issues up in general conversation, and people who get battery powered cars, from whether it's a Renault Zoe, I think is the smallest one in it, something like that, and all the way up to the Teslas. And you look at the price of them and you think, really? And you bring these issues up with them, and the argument is always the same. Oh, they're not designed for the distance, they're not designed for the mileage. You know, they're a round town car. What was a car designed for? To do the mileage. To be able to go further than a wholesome car. Quicker and usually cheaper. A car was designed so that we could go further in a shorter space of time. And all battery powered enthusiasts are sitting there like, oh, well, it's not designed for that. Well, walk then. Using your legs is cheaper and way better for the environment. And if it's not designed to do the mileage, walk, cycle, or catch a bus. Instead of dropping 30 grand, as an average from what I've seen prices of electric cars are, instead of dumping 30 grand for something that, well, it's not designed to do the mileage. To each their own, I suppose. But the funniest thing is, and this just really makes me giggle. She had the Micra, and she worked in Braintree, lives in Braintree. Fine. Well, she's upgraded to the Leaf, and she's moved to go on to semi-retirement, basically. She's moved from the Braintree store to the Colchester store. So she's got a car that's limited to range, a lot more expensive than the car she had, and she's at least quadrupled her commute, if not more. And you sit there and you think, yeah. I just find it comical. But having said all of that, battery-powered platforms are an exceptionally easy and cheap for the companies way of getting real-world results on electric motors to see how far an electric motor will go, you know, so as they can get a real sense of, okay, how do we modify this motor, how can we make that motor more efficient, how can we increase this, how can we do that, so on and so forth, which is great. And obviously, as I've said in previous ones, with the OPEC deal with car manufacturers about hydrogen fuel cell, you can see why they're doing it. Because you're getting all of this data, all of this free testing for the motors, so as you can refine the motors, make them more efficient, and so on, as I just said. Before, obviously, bunging in an electricity generating whatever, whether it's hydrogen fuel cell or whether it goes a different way. Maybe even some cars, all the bodywork would be solar panels, for example. I don't know. You really don't know how technology will change. But generating the electric charge whilst, you know, driving from a hydrogen fuel cell, from a solar panel, from a whatever the hell you're doing, is definitely going to give you the range. And having the ability to have refined the electric motors in car use, in vehicle use, so that they're more efficient, increases that range, makes them an obvious choice. And to be fair, we do have to go away from fossil fuel technology, you know, crude oil and so on and so forth. Now some people will be like, well yeah, crude oil is obviously fossil fuel. A couple of years back, I went to, with my other half, to where the mother-in-law worked. And there was a woman working there, and she had a car with the old powered by fairy dust crap on the back. Personally, me, if I'm going to create one of those, I'll have powered by fossil fuels, grow up. And instead of a picture of a fairy, it'll be an oil bike, you know, that kind of thing. And I was chatting away, and I actually said that my version would be powered by fossil fuels, grow up. And she looked at me and she went, what's a fossil fuel? I didn't quite know how to take that. At first I thought she's joking, and then it became blatantly obvious that she wasn't. So ever since then, if I say fossil fuel, I do tend to say crude oil, coal, you know, I do tend to give an example. Because there are genuinely people out there who don't know. That concerns me. A little. So that's why I say that. But we do need to get away from fossil fuels. And my argument has always been because it's going to run out. All these other reasons, oh well, you know, it's done this to the environment, oh it's going to do that, and I'm sure it has an impact, it has to have an impact, there is far too much data to ignore that. But the real reason is it's going to run out. And then what do we do? And my issue with going the battery route is exactly the same as humans have always done. We find the easiest, cheapest solution. You know, coal-powered, steam, you know, steam-powered from coal, and heating the house from coal. Easiest, cheapest solution. Of course, at the time, didn't realise the impact it would have. Obviously, smog and issues with increased asthma sufferers and so on and so forth, and the issues with the environment and so on. And of course crude oil became the cheapest and easiest way of fueling vehicles. But we've always done that. What is the cheapest and easiest way around this issue? And battery power is just another example. Initially it's fine. It's a great platform to test technology on. Not arguing. But it's not a long-term solution. Because there are far too many people who do high mileage now. I mean, have you looked on... nearly threw my phone on the floor then. I don't want this Samsung. Oh, I'll be doing a video of that when I upgrade this, slinging this on the floor, don't worry about that. But if you go on to Auto-Trader, now I have the app because, as you guys are most likely aware, I have an addiction to buying cars. And you put in literally anything you want. I'll reset this because it's gone all funky. Right, wallop that. Sort by the lowest. And cars are coming up with 159,000 miles. You've got, obviously you got the sponsored ones first, and then you chuck them all in. You got 59,000 miles on a 2-year-old car, and that's Ford Focus 1.6 TDC, and it's blown up at 59,000 miles. What's wrong with it? It's got some issues. I'm surmising it's blown up from what they've said. Ding 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 ding. Come on, yes, it's got that. Yes, I know it's electric windows and ABS. Duh, what doesn't have that these days? Oh yeah, Dacia Sandero. Timing belt's gone. Are the 1.6 diesel's belts all changed? Well, it says timing belt's gone here. 59,000 miles. Why don't you like Fords? Oh, I don't know. 106,000 miles, 190,000 miles, although that one is 6 years old now. 107. That's a 54, so that's not too bad, I suppose. But people are doing more and more miles. And you got old Ford Fiesta 1.3 Encore from 1998. 212,560 miles. Now, okay, that's from 98, so it's not that many a year to be fair, but people are doing more and more miles. And we're going to a technology that has an exceptionally limited range. And it's a stopgap solution, really, isn't it? Let's be fair. Now, that's my personal take on it, and it's always going to be my personal take. I always think, you know, it might not be the cheapest solution, it might be the most technologically troublesome solution in the early stages, because there's never been a huge amount of investment in it, vehicular-wise. But stick with it, and it's probably the best long-term solution. Although, again, how do you dispose of them? How do you dispose of these reactors once you finish with them? And that's always going to be an issue. How do you dispose of all the old oil and crap from the masses of cars you've got? How do you dispose of the batteries? How do you dispose of this and that, and so on and so forth? But it's a good solution given the average distance people travel these days. I mean, my car's what, 38,000 now, because I have dropped some mileage now. Ever since I've gone to this new contract, I don't go as far. But it's at 38 and a bit thousand. I was coming up for a service. Oh, crap. 39,500 I've got to have it serviced. I forgot about that. Couple more weeks. And then I've got to pay for that. That's joyful, isn't it? That's just bloody joyful. I love that. Save it skipping. I thought I'd stop it. I was about 15 minutes in, so I thought I'd stop it and start again just then. Because the amount of times I prattle on. You guys know this. I can talk for England. If there was an Olympic sport in talking, I'd probably place in the medals. Let's be fair. But it does amuse me. I mean, I've been having obviously the family chats about it's a good platform to test on, mentioned there's a few people, Bert's uncle, I think I've mentioned this before, he's part of a company that sorts out the driver awareness training and all that kind of stuff, and various bits and bobs about driver training and so on. We were having a chat and he agrees with me. He's like, yeah, battery's perfectly fine, again, for round town as a platform to test. But as he says, he does so much mileage because he has to travel all these different areas, doing whatever it is he does training wise. And so he's like, well, he's perfectly fine having a 120 mile range or a 200 mile range or something like that, but he'll bash through that in the first half of his day. And you've got the quick charge solution, but as the mother-in-law was saying, they're advertising it as a quick charge, charging full. Takes about the same amount of time as a burger and a coffee at a service area. Perfectly fine. But as a truck driver, I stop in service areas to have me break, as a lot of people do. And I see people at the charging points. And they plug their vehicle in and they have a look, and they're not too sure about what they're looking for anyway. Very few of them ever read the instructions. I mean, who does? And they go off, wander off, and they do their bits and bobs, and they come back. Of course, I'm on my break, so I'm there for 45-50 minutes. And they come back, and you can see them just scratching their head, looking at it. And then they're wiggling about with this, or they're looking at that, or they're making a phone call to a number. It hasn't been charging. There's an issue with it. It's been broken by somebody else, or something's wrong somewhere, or they come back expecting it to be charged and it's not charged. And you see them sitting there, that they've been there since I've turned up, they're still there when I go 50 minutes later. Well, I hope you're not trying to get anywhere sharpish, mate, because you're done. So yeah, for testing, for round town, for things like that, I can see the point. But I'll never agree with it. I will never agree with spending over 30 grand or 20 grand second hand for a vehicle with limited range, such limited range I should say, and the issues that you come across trying to charge. I see it all the time when I stop in services with the charging points. You see people getting irate and arguing on the phone, and oh well, it's broken, and now we're stranded, and because again, with all these universal charging points that anybody can use, you are going to get the people who don't care. It's like, as an agency driver, going to companies that have multiple units, and each unit has multiple different drivers, various agencies in there. You get in some units and you look at it and you think, everything is just covered in a layer of filth. The buttons are all sticky on the steering wheel from where something's dribbled into it. Really? And that's the issue with these universal charging points. You get people who just don't care. They slam the thing in, they yank the thing out by the cable, they break it, they don't give a crap. As long as they're fine, who cares? They've got no respect. And that's the other thing you're going to meet. And again, there's all these various individuals trying to start up companies where they believe the future is nobody will own a car anymore. You'll just rent the car. Self-driving, for example. You'll just rent this little pod that will turn up and take you wherever you've got to go. That's perfectly fine. But again, what about the people who don't care? What about the people who think it's fun to go to the toilet inside them on the journey? And you will have this. There are nasty people out there. There are sick people out there. And again, what happens on a Friday or a Saturday night where you've booked one to take you home from the club, and you've got one that's come straight to you from dropping somebody local who's thrown up inside it because they had a bit of a swelling before they went out. So you've got that issue. And then again, nobody's owning these cars, so where are you going to park them? It's 27 odd million cars in the UK, something around that. I don't know the figure exact off the top of my head, but there's somewhere in the region of about 27 million vehicles. So if you're not parking them on your drive, if you're not parking on your street, in your designated parking space, wherever that is, where are you going to park them? What car parks are you going to use? How vast are they going to be? And the other thing is, you might sit there and go, oh yeah, well you won't need as many vehicles because one will do one job and then come and get you and do the other job. Again, if there's no cleaning in between each person, spread of illnesses, diseases, viruses, just, you know, people throwing up or doing other things, you're going to be dealing with that. And so you look at it and you think it's a fantastically stupid idea. It's like a mobile wallet. You get your phone and all you have to do is just swipe it across something and you've paid for all your products. You know, you scan them with whatever app and it pays for it automatically. Okay, so somebody nicks your phone. It's like this touchless stuff, this great advance in technology. It's so safe, you don't have to enter in your PIN. You just dump against the thing. Up to 30 quid. Well, in the time I've had the touchless stuff, I've been asked for my PIN twice. Yeah, twice. 30 quid a pop. Somebody half inches my card, my wallet, I don't realise for however long. And they go around all these stores, 30 quid a store until it asks for a PIN. And then they do the old act of, oh, I forgot my number. What's my bleeding number? Oh, I've completely forgotten my number. Hold on, mate, I've got some cash on me. There you go. And nobody's any the wiser. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, where's my wallet gone? I check my account, hundreds of pounds have disappeared. Well, that's the advancements in technology. It's really clever. He's dumb. It's just... Yeah, nobody will ever own a car. All right then, mate, where are you going to park? Come on then, answer me that. And, oh yeah, well, he'll do the delivery, and then he'll come and get you. Yeah, but the thing is, at rush hour, the reason so many cars are on the road is because everybody's travelling at the same time. Nah. You can't drop one person off, go get somebody else, drop them off, because one person will be on time for work, everybody else will be late. And then, of course, you know, if you do have the battery ones and you keep them at home, what happens if you forget to plug them in? You get home, you're just tired, you walk in, you might plug it in but forget to turn it on. Or you might plug it in, go to bed, a fuse blows. Yeah. How many people have tripped a fuse before? We all do. Imagine if that happens. You know, you've gone to bed at night, you're charging the car, I don't know, immersion heater flicks on, or something turns on, overloads the circuit, trips the fuse. You wake up in the morning, sorry boss, can't come to work. I've got to wait another X amount of hours to charge my car. It's not even your fault. You plugged it in, you turned it on, you went to bed, tripped the fuse. A storm comes along, takes down a couple of power lines. How many local little villages or towns even have been without power for a few hours overnight when a storm's come along? We've all lived in them. If you're over about 15 years of age, you've definitely heard about it. It's just advances in technology are so good, aren't they? They just screw everything. But then, you know, that's just me. I am as technologically advanced as a brick wall. And there we go. Now, some of you will probably be watching the road footage and thinking, why isn't he commenting on what's going on? Because at this precise point in time, I'm not actually watching it. I'm just doing something to camera and I'm going to run road footage in the background so as you've got something different to look at other than this, basically. That way, if you don't want to listen to me, you can mute me and just watch the road footage. Now, a number of people are asking me, whenever I upload with some of that royalty-free music that I use, it is royalty-free. Although, the last one I uploaded, I infringed copyright. All the music I use is royalty-free. So how did I infringe copyright? And it's some Russian band There's a segment, it's the second song on the I'm Back on the Road. It's the second one, it's the second bit. About a third of the way through till 2/3, kind of the middle section of it, is the part that has been picked up. How odd is that? It's like, I suppose. So I'm going through all that process at the moment because the copyright is infringed, and of course, if I want to monetize, I can't monetize that one, or somebody else could monetize that one for themselves. So all my artwork's gone out the bleeding window. And you look at it and you think, but it's royalty free. I've got the you know, you buy the little licensing to use it on certain things. So they're really clamping down now. I mean, they're properly getting restrictive about this. Royalty-free music is suddenly infringing copyright because it's very similar to another song. But I am asked, you know, what's this song called or where's that from, stuff like that. I get my stuff from audiojungle.net. Okay, audiojungle.net. And it, various names will repeat. For example, I usually put in something like driving or country rock, or you know, just something like that to bring up a list, and then I'll go down them, I'll click on various ones and listen to them. Ones I like, I buy, obviously. But that's where I get them from. So if you like some of the songs, I get them all from audiojungle.net. Okay, here comes the cat, the white one, the white menace. The white ginger menace. Hello, little puss puss. He's hurt himself recently. Yeah, he went and injured himself. His entire right shoulder and leg puffed up. They're about twice the size. He's on some anti-inflammatories and stuff like that. But I think he wants access to the kitchen, so I shall be back in a moment. And I shall change the subject to something else. Oh dear, well, he just wanted some food, so I let him out there. Now, to all the new drivers out there, I'm actually going to talk about truck driving for a moment. Oh my god! Trucker Bill's talking about truck driving. Now, a couple of days ago, I had the single worst reverse I've ever had. At one point I just snapped, and people in the office, I'm down in the yard, they're up in the office, and they said they could hear me swearing up in the office. Now, to all the new guys out there, you will have days where you just cannot reverse worth crap. It happens to us all. But this particular incident, it was so... I should have a t-shirt saying 20 shunts on it. I mean, seriously, it was just so outrageously dumb. I have to mention it. Now, I've had the time where you take about 5 or 6 shunts and you think, oh, what a bloody idiot. You know, you have those moments. Everybody does. You've had a long week, you're tired, it's the end of the day, whatever. Or you just... You're not on point that day for whatever reason. But this one, I've gone onto this bay countless times since I've been at this company. It's one of the easier ones. 7, 8, 9 are actually the easier bays to get onto, and this was 8. And I had a double-decker, nothing unusual there. Do you think I could get onto this bay? I don't know what the hell went wrong. I really don't. I just... One of the most annoying moments, or most annoying parts of this, of that particular episode, was not so much I couldn't get on the bay. It was that some of the Scanias we have, they're automatics, but they have a clutch pedal. And when you get wound up, you start doing everything aggressively, quickly, things like that. You know what I'm talking about. You start, you lose it, don't you? You bang, put it in gear. The thing with the clutch ones is that you bang it into gear, obviously bang the clutch down, bang it into gear, lift the clutch up to move again, and you wrap the pipes off the damn thing, you rev the nits out of it, because you've done it too quick for the clutch and the onboard computer to register it, so it's thrown itself into neutral. So you're trying to do all of this, you're getting frustrated with yourself, and then you're throwing it into neutral. You're in gear, obviously, but it's throwing itself into neutral because you've gone too quick for it. And so that's winding you up, so you're starting to swear at that. You're swearing at the trailer, you're swearing at the vehicle, you're swearing at yourself. And I could not do it. Now, there's one place I roll for every so often, and they've got a location out near Stratford. And this place is tight. I mean, this is really tight. Once you're on those docks, if you walk, kind of broadside down between the trailers, your shoulder will touch the trailers. You've just about got enough room to wind the legs down in between the trailers. It's pretty tight, and it's very restrictive because of the wall directly opposite the bays. If you're attached to your trailer, you go as far forward as you can, so you're literally touching the armco with your vehicle. The rear axle and back of the trailer are still between the trailers on the dock, so it is quite tight. And those ones I can usually do 2 shunts, maybe 3 if I'm a bit not on point. But the docks that I'm talking about, the one where I just cocked it up, you've got a dock, you've got room enough to park 2 trailers, then another dock, then room enough to park 2 trailers, then another dock. And usually there's a trailer on dock, an empty trailer, a trailer on dock, an empty trailer. So you've got room. But again, there's a fence directly opposite all the docks, which means you've got to be careful. You can see where people have just reversed and swung into the fence and dented the fence and all kinds of bits and bobs, and it's a proper metal one, so it would cause some damage. But I've done this a few times. I mean, I can understand 3 being tight because it's essentially you've got dock 5 and you've got 3, 2, 1. Now 1 is pretty much straightforward. You can 3-point turn it and then just reverse the length of the yard if you have to straight onto 1. Very easy. 2, bit of a kink blind and then wallop in, relatively simple. But 3, you have to drive past, if there's something on 5 especially, drive past, go into the little cubby hole by the side of the building and the fence, and then kind of reverse it all the way around. 180 it round all these. Oh, that is a proper. You're that close to the one on 5. It's a proper bastard. But 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, pretty standard reverses. You just got to be careful of the fence. And do you think I could do it? Hey, it was. I just. Too far, I kinked it round too much, I kinked it round too little, I lost it. Couldn't reverse worth crap. It's one of those ones where you just lose, you just snap. You're just so angry by the end of it that you lose everything. And of course, because it had a clutch and it kept throwing itself in neutral, that was winding me up even more. Now the thing I'm going to say to the new guys, and I know there's going to be some keyboard warriors maybe in the comment section, oh well, I've been driving all these years and I've never had one of those days, it's just you can't drive. You all have these days. Okay, I don't believe for a second there's an experienced driver out there who hasn't had a moment where he's just 20 shunts later and he's screaming up and down in the cab getting really mad with himself. I don't believe it for a second. Because there's sites I go to that employ shunters. They're drivers who've gone to the shunter role because they just can't be asked to deal with London anymore. And their job is shunting. That's all they do. They spend more time reversing trailers than going forward. Yeah, that's their only job. And they're moving like 100 trailers or more in a night. Every day. 5 days or 5 nights a week. Constantly. And they cock up. You see them taking a couple of shunts every so often and shaking their head like, oh, just doing that kind of waking themselves up. I've known of shunters, again, they're just shunters, that's all they do. Reversing into a VMU, vehicle maintenance unit, and reversing the trailer into the pit. They just went in wrong and thump, down it went. It happens. Everybody has a bad day. So to anybody, before you start posting, no, it's never happened to me, bollocks. Bollocks. Yeah? Everyone has that. You're human. You cock up. So don't show yourself up to be an idiot or a truck sim driver. You've had a bad day. Alright? Everybody knows that. Experienced drivers watching me know that. But I've just had a warning come up saying the battery's about to die on this, so I shall continue and have changed the battery. See you in a moment. Yeah, so anyway, change the battery. But you'll have bad days. New drivers, you will experience more bad days initially because you don't really know what you're doing, if that makes sense. You know, you're not quite used to it yet. So when you get into those situations and in the back of your mind you're just like, oh God, everyone knows I'm new, everyone's going to be commenting on it. Yeah, they are. Okay? People in the smoke nut, drivers in the smoke nut will look at you and go, you know, they will be. Yeah? We'll all be commenting like, oh my God, have you seen this? And I know that they do it to me. Guarantee it. If the drivers who were watching me do that would have been shaking their head in disbelief going, really? Has he got a licence? I know that. Yeah, we all do it. When you see it, you do it. Or you at least think it. But when you get into that situation, you're going to be angry, you're going to be annoyed, you're going to be wound up, you're going to get frustrated, you're going to be chomping at the bit to punch someone. Trust me, you will be. The mood I was in directly after that, anybody came near me, if anybody had said something, no matter how innocent, I'd have bitten their head off. Because you get so wound up with it. But the one thing to do is go into a particular mode I found works for me, and it's kind of a good mode to get into, and that is, as long as you get on this dock without causing damage, you've won. Yeah? Now, if you're in a yard where you can just drive all the way around, then do that. Okay? If you've got to that situation, just drive all the way around, reline. Where I'm working, you can't do that. It's straight in, you've got to reverse and go out the same way you've come in. Like I said, there's only 9 docks. So, you can't just drive all the way around. But if ever you get yourself in a situation and you can, just drive all the way around, start again, then all the shunters will have moved, people in the smoking hut will have buggered off, and you can calm yourself down, reline, and usually you get it in one. But, and then you're sitting there going, why can't all the other people who are watching me be here and see me do that? But just go into a mode where as long as I do this without causing damage, I've won. And there's a reason I say that, and it's, I take a lot of advice from older drivers who are coming towards retirement. People my age, 10 years older than me, stuff like that, I tend to just in one ear out the other. Because as you start doing this, and I'm sure a few experienced drivers will have seen this as well, you get a certain age of driver, you know, they're the grandparents, they're the ones who are coming up to retirement within the next few years. And you see them reverse on, and they shut. They get on, they get out perfectly calmly, walk around, pull the brake, wind the legs down, get in. They just don't care. And as one guy told me, and I learned so much from him, I know he's retired now, I may even have died by now, I don't know. But his name was Wooly. You know, on the back of his high vis was Wooly. And he'd done everything. Quite literally, he'd even driven in Canada. He'd done everything. And the one of the many things he told me was, your job is to avoid accidents. Yeah? A side effect of avoiding accidents, and I've said this before, is your load will get to its destination. Okay? Your load will arrive at its destination. And it will hopefully arrive not damaged. It won't have fallen over as long as you've secured it correctly, obviously. So as long as you avoid the accidents, you're fine. And so one thing to do, if you ever get frustrated, if you ever get angry, and you can't just drive all the way around and do it again, avoid the accidents. Don't hit the fence, don't hit the trailers. In the end, what I did was, I got to a certain point and I just got so fed up that I started to micro shunt. I got the trailer almost on line but too far over, I'd turned it too tightly. And so what I did was I micro shunted myself all the way round, so that the trailer essentially stayed pointing in the same direction. And then I went as far back as I could without hitting the little metal runners that you have to put your trailer in between on the dock. And then I just kind of, to use a nautical term, I tacked over until I was on, and I went, you know what, sod it, done. It's close enough, fine. And essentially that's all you do. Because when you get wound up, you are going to want to teach the unit a lesson, you're going to want to teach the trailer a lesson. It's like when you stub your toe. You know, you're walking through your living room room's been set out the same for God knows how many years, and you wallop your toe on a bit of furniture. You instantaneously punch or yell or kick the furniture, don't you? It's an inanimate object, it's been there for years, it's never moved. You're the idiot that hit it. Yeah, and when you get into that situation, you're going to want to teach that trailer a lesson. Yeah, and that's when damage occurs. You're going to get frustrated, and like I said, changing gear, it flings itself in neutral, it wraps the pipes off of it. Well, why am I using the accelerator so harshly? I'm trying to manoeuvre. So you get into that situation, and when you start to do that, you'll start to go too fast, and you'll hit the fence, you'll hit a trailer, you'll rip a mudguard off or something like that. And then you're in deep doo-doo. Then you've got to go and see transport. Then you've got to have that conversation. And if your agency, like myself, that's when you could be standing there being told, get your stuff, out of the cab, go home. Week's worth of work down the drain. So all I did is just go into the mode where, as long as I get on this without causing damage, I've won. And like I said, I micro shunted till my cab would come round and the trailer had pretty much stayed the same place. You know, really just full lock obviously as you're turning in, and then you stop. Full lock the other way, go forward as far as you can. Full lock the other way. You're basically Austin Powers in it. Yeah? Micro shunt, and then go as far back as you can without obviously hitting the metal runners and causing damage. And then, like I said, nautical term, you know, tack it over. Yeah? Done. No, it'll take a few shunts, it'll take some time, but as long as you do it without causing damage, spot on. And if you watch older drivers, when they do that, when they're tired, they're having a bad day, they're not on point, and they're reversing it, and really truthfully you're looking at them and you're thinking, you shouldn't be in charge of anything more powerful than pogo stick, mate. I've got pogo sticky. I'm back on full. And you watch them, and they'll do pretty much the same thing. They'll kind of tack it over. Get on bay, lower the legs, obviously brake on legs, lines, and off they go. And, okay, I got frustrated, I was yelling, I was swearing at myself, the unit, the trailer, the sky, the floor. I'm just gone. But they'll just do it and they won't care. They just don't give a crap. And that's the thing, when you're new, and even if you're experienced and you've had a few bad moments and you've caused damage, it does happen, just try and get yourself into that. As long as I do this without causing damage, I've won. Because it's the only thing you can do. But anyway, I really think I have dragged this out too far today. So thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share about, do whatever it is you usually do. I'll see you in the next one, whenever that will be. Cheers.